Hello, class. This is Mr. Thompson, and I am very sad to do this early in the year. Unfortunately, I have to be home, and I'm not able to be there for our first real lesson to kind of get you guys going. So I am sorry for that, but I have to do what I have to do. I am going to go through some of your problems here today, and the first problems here are 1.9 and 1.10. These are classwork problems. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at these two problems and analyze these patterns with your elbow partner at your desk and see if you can answer some of the different parts to it. So on 1-9, we've got the figure 2 here, figure 3, and then figure 4. These are tile patterns. We're going to see a lot of tile patterns this year, and this is what the tile pattern looks like in figure 2, figure 3, figure 4. Now, once you've looked at that, your job is to kind of see how does it grow from one figure to the next, and then see if you can answer some of these questions. So the first thing to answer is draw the first, fifth, and sixth figures on your paper. Can you figure out how it's growing from figure 2 to figure 3 to figure 4? And can you tell by how it's growing what would figure 5 look like? Okay, and what would figure 6 look like? And then going backwards, what comes before figure 2? What would that look like? So I want you to see if you can figure that out, no pun intended. And then how is the pattern changing? That's just kind of like a description. How do you go from figure 2 to figure 3? And then this is the biggest, most amazing one. If you can get this figured out right here, 100th figure. If you're able to understand this pattern so well that you can know what the 100th figure looks like, you're going to be in great shape. So with that, I want you to pause the video and then explore both of these patterns, 1.9 and 1.10, and see if you can answer some of these questions here. For 1.9, questions A, B, and C, and then for 1.10, questions A and B. So go ahead, pause the video, and then give that a shot. All right, if you're unpausing the video now, that means you have come up with something here. So I'm going to go over one way to look at these. This isn't the only way to look at this, but this is one way to look at this. Of the two patterns, 1-9 is definitely the more difficult pattern. So I want to look at it and explore it a little bit. When I look at figure 2, figure 3, and figure 4, the first thing I notice is what stays the same from one figure to the next. Got this little nub here, this little nub here, and this little nub. That doesn't change. So I'm guessing that my figure 5 is going to have that same little nub up on top like that. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to look for. Next, I'm going to notice it's got a tail. And figure 4 has a tail of 3. Figure 3 has a tail of 2. Figure 2 has a tail of 1. So I could guess that figure 1 over here, figure 1 would have a tail of, that's right, 0. So it's going to have a tail of 0. Now, that's the easy part, kind of looking at the little nub and the tail. So we've got that kind of figured out. So what does that leave us with? If we're, okay, we got, oh, that's too big, sorry. Let me make this a little smaller. So if we've got this nub and this tail, this nub and this tail, this nub and this tail, right there, what does that leave us with? Well, what I see then is a rectangle. So I see this little rectangle here. Figure 2 looks like it's got a 2 by 3 rectangle. 3 this way, 2 this way. Okay. Figure 3 looks like the dimensions grow by 1 in each direction. So this goes 3 across here and 4 up. So figure 4, Oh man, that didn't work. Try that again. It also has a rectangle, and that one wants to be a square. Great. Anyway, you get the idea. So this figure 4 has this rectangle has a base of 4 and a height of 5. And so if you're to take that and apply that to figure 5, could you figure it out? So let's look at that. So first I'm going to have this little nub up here. That's one piece there. Okay. Then how many tiles would be in the tail? So figure 4 had a tail of 3, so figure 5 would have a tail of 4. That's correct. So, and also figure 4 had a rectangle with dimensions of 4 this way and 5 this way. So basically, the base of that rectangle was the figure number. So the figure number, okay, so going this way, the figure number is the base. The height of this rectangle is going to be the figure number plus 1. So in that case, it's 5. So if I'm looking at figure 5 over here, okay, that means that my rectangle will have a height of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then the base will be the figure number, so 5. There, so this is going to be what the rectangle will look like here. Okay. And then the tail is going to be 4, because it's going to be 1 less than the figure number. So, like that. And so figure 5. Now, I'm not going to go through and do figure 6 because I think you could figure that out there. But what about going backwards to figure 1? That looks a little bit trickier. So I'm just going to draw it right next to it so we can look at figure 2 and go from there. So figure 1. First off, it's not going to have that tail, so that won't be there. Okay? But it will have the nub up here on top. So that's one tile we know that's going to be there. And also the rectangle portion, we know that the base of the rectangle is going to be the same as the figure number. So that rectangle will have a base of 1. Okay? And then it's going to have a height of 1 more than the figure number. Figure 2 had a height of 3. Okay? So figure 1 is going to have a height of 2. So it's 1, 2, like that. There we go. And that's not very well drawn, but you get the idea. So, and then what about the little nub on top? That's right there. So if you ended up with a figure 1 that had 3 tiles like that, you did very well. Okay, now let's get to the hard question. The 100th figure. Now, the 100th figure, we are not going to be able to draw all the squares like we did here or in figure 1, but we're just going to draw a general idea of what it should look like. So what are some things that we know? We know that it's still going to have the little nub on top. We know that it's going to have a tail, and the tail is going to be 1 less than the figure number. Okay, and then we know it's going to have a rectangle. So the rectangle is going to have the base of the figure number and the height of 1 more than the figure number. So if we were to just draw a generic version of that, not drawing any squares in, I'm going to first draw my rectangle. Okay, like that. Then I'm going to draw my tail. Let's do it in pink here. There. Okay, and then I'm going to put the little nub on top. So, what are the dimensions? This tail has 99 tiles in it. Okay, remember this is going to have a base of 100 and a height of 101. So how many tiles are there all together in this? How many tiles would it have? Well, we just got to do a little math to find the area of this rectangle. It's going to be 101 times 100. So that multiplies out to 10,100. Okay. Then we add on 99 here and 1 here. So that's 100 more. So how many tiles altogether? It's going to be 10,200. How did you do? Did you get it? All right, well, let's move on to the next one. This next one, I want to show you a little technique for prediction with the 100th figure number, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. The first part of this would be, I would say, to notice how it's growing just from one to the next. Notice that this tail stays the same. 3, 3, 3, okay? Notice also that it looks like they just keep adding on an L shape. Did you see that? Where there's 4 that get added on there, and then 4 that get added on there. So when we want to answer the question of how is it changing from one to the next, just keeps adding on 4 more tiles every time. So what would the 5th figure look like? Well, you're just going to add on 1 more of those L shapes there. So that would be up here like this. There, just kind of adding that on. That's poorly drawn, but that's what figure 5 would look like. And then figure 6, you'd add 4 more. So going backwards to figure 1, what would that look like? Well, we need to be able to take off 4 tiles. So figure 1 is going to have 4 less tiles. So let's get rid of some tiles. Let's get rid of those 4. And then you can see that figure 1 would look just like what's left over here, this part. That's what figure 1 would look like. So get rid of that. That's what figure 1. I'm not going to draw it all for you, but that's where we'd be. Now, here's the big thing. How can we predict ahead? Look, they want to know, Michael knows that one of the figures in this tile pattern has 79 tiles. What's its figure number? Well, there's a couple ways we could get to that, and this is the big part of what I want you to start to do with these. This is a huge, huge, huge important skill to develop. And when I get back, we're going to go over this every day. It's going to be like a warm-up for us every day. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make yourself a table. And in that table, I want you, the first part of it to be the figure number. I'm going to put the figure number here. And the second part of it, I want to be the number of tiles are going to go here. So figure number and number of tiles. Now, this should look a lot like an XY table that you did last year in 7th grade. Okay, and we're going to even call it that. We're going to go ahead and put in here, this is going to be X, and this is going to be Y. So, let's do a little recording, and this will help us make predictions. Figure 1, let's go back and look at the original figure 1 here, and see how many tiles did it have. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tiles. So figure 1 had 11 tiles. I want you to put that in there. 1, 11. Okay, figure 1 had 11 tiles. Now, we can keep counting, or we can just think a little bit and realize that figure, oh boy, already made a mistake. Gosh darn it. All right, I've tried to do this all in one take. That was figure 2. I forgot that I'd crossed it out. Figure 2. So figure 2 had 11 tiles. I apologize. Hopefully you caught that mistake early on there. Figure 2 had 11 tiles. Sorry. So figure 3, going from figure 2 to figure 3, we're going to gain these 4 tiles, remember? So you're going to have just 4 more tiles. That means figure 3 will have 15 tiles. figure 4, maybe I should erase this so I don't make a mistake again, like that. Okay, we'll have 4 more than figure 3, so figure 4 will have 19 tiles. Figure 5 will have 23 tiles. And you could go, okay, figure 1 will have 7 tiles. How many would figure 0 have? Yes, we can have a figure 0. Figure 0 is going to become very, very important to us, actually. 4 less than 7 would be 3. So figure 0 would have 3 tiles. So this way of analyzing patterns is going to be huge for us. One thing I want you to notice is because it goes up by 4 a bunch of times, this we go from 3 to 7, that's up 4, up 4, up 4, up 4. This is repeated addition. Now, do you know what repeated addition is? We call repeated addition multiplication. So, here's a little trick to these. One, if you have some repeated addition in the pattern, meaning you're adding the same amount over and over and over again, well, you are going to now know that part of the rule for this pattern is going to be multiply by 4 or times 4. So you're going to have 4 times the figure number. 4 times the figure number. Now, what happens if we take the figure number times 4? Look at this. Figure 3 times 4 is 12, not 15. Figure 4 times 4 is 16, not 19. Figure 4 times 5 is 23. Figure 4 times 5 is 20, not 23. Did you notice anything with each of those multiplications, though? How far away from this total number of tiles was it? 3 times 4 is 12. Well, 3 more to get to 15. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 more gets you to 19. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 more gets you to 23. Now, that is not a coincidence. Look, if you want to know how many tiles are going to be in, say, figure 100, one thing that you're going to do is you are going to multiply figure 100 by 4. So 4 times 100 is going to get you close to the right answer. So that's going to be 400. Now, what did we add each time on that? Okay, we added 3. So 400 plus 3 will get you there. One other thing I want you to notice is that you are going to be able to find, oops, that's an eraser, not a highlighter. Okay, right there, that has the number 3 in it. This is not a coincidence. Okay, figure 0 will always tell you the number to add. So when I said that the rule is times 4, okay, and then the other part of the rule is plus 3, it's going to be 4 times the figure number plus 3, and that will get you any one of these figures to know how many tiles are in it. So how many are going to be in figure 100? 403. Now, that's a lot to absorb the first time you heard it, so I don't expect anybody to understand it the first time through, but I will reiterate how to do this over and over and over again. That's something that I want you to see. If you can get some repeated addition here, and you can find the 0 figure number there, you will have your rule to figure out anything about this pattern. Now, oops, let me do this. Sorry. We didn't answer part B yet. That's a long-winded way to get to part B. Well, wants to know what figure number is going to have 79 tiles. Well, one way to do it is we could just keep going from figure 5, just keep adding on 4 over and over and over again until we get to 79 tiles. But that's going to take us a while. So there's a faster way to do it. first off, think of your figure number as x. And if you do that, you can write a little rule like this. Okay, we know that the pattern is 4x plus 3, right? I'm putting an x in there for the figure number. 4x plus 3. Now, I need that to come out to 79. So if I want it to come out to 79, I make it equal to 79. Looks like a little equation you learned how to solve in 7th grade. So we're going to solve this by subtracting 3. So we got 4x equals 76. And then dividing by 4 right there. And x is going to come out to 19. So what figure number would have 79 tiles? Figure 19 would. 19 would give you 79. How can I double check that? Well, take 19 times 4, you get 76, add 3 to get to 79. So anyway, that's a really long-winded lesson today, and I apologize for doing this on a video that you have to watch. Hopefully you're able to go back later if you didn't understand something, re-listen to the video, pause it, try it, and apply it to your work. So your assignment now that follows this is considered homework. I'm going to give you a few minutes with the substitute teacher, a few minutes to go through this in class, get through as much of it as you can. Try out this little technique on the pattern. See if you could figure out the 100th figure on problem 12, but you don't have to if it's too much the first time. But your assignment that goes with this is problems 112 through 116. So 1.1.2 is going to be 112 to 116, and so spend the next several minutes going through this before we get to the second lesson of the day.